Hey everybody, Scott Luton with Supply Chain Now back with you as we continue our coverage here at Gartner Supply Chain Symposium down in really beautiful Orlando. It's not hot yet, which is great, but the content and the conversations are starting to rise in temperature. A lot of good stuff here. And I'm going to continue our coverage here with my new friend, Jon Rodammer, Senior Vice President, Head of North America Operations with Kenvue. Jon, how you doing?
I'm doing very good. It's great to be here, Scott.
Great. Really enjoyed meeting you already. I've got already 18 pages of notes just in the prep session with Jon. We're going to bring the heat here, but I want to start with passions.
Yeah.
And one of your things that you really spend a lot of time investing in outside of doing big things in supply chain is serving our kids.
Yeah.
So tell us more about those volunteer activities of yours.
No, certainly. I mean, one of the things that I'm super passionate about is giving back to my local community. And so having an opportunity, even from an early age, to have that instilled in me, I've had a chance to work with kids of all ages, whether it be middle school, elementary school, or even high school students throughout from college to post-university to now every single day. And so having a chance, we recently took some school children from a local school to help them to clean up our local park.
Love it.
And help to invest back in the local community and help create that civic activism for the next generation. So just something that I really love doing in the spare time when I can find it. But having an opportunity to just really continuously give back is one of my top passions.
Jon, I love that. I can tell you're beaming as you talk about that. Clearly, it is a passion. And I got to ask you, I've got 3 kids at home. Let's see, 10th grade, 8th grade, and 6th grade. It sounds like you volunteer in a wide span. What could be the most difficult age group out of all the kids? Where are they most rambunctious maybe?
Well, I got to say, I think where I was most rambunctious was probably in the middle school age. You're trying to figure out your identity, trying to figure out who you are in general.
Yes.
And it really came down to, for me, I had close mentors and people who invested in me during that time. And so while I don't think I probably remember about 90% or 99% of what they taught me, I remember that they were there. And that was what mattered to me. And so I think that's the thing, is that helping people through difficult change, whether it be work or personal or things like that, even from an early age, developing those skills is so, so important.
Jon, I love that. Clearly, you're passionate about it. I love your give forward, and we're going to revisit that towards later in today's conversation. Sorry to step, Jon. Okay. So I know that you've been to a couple of the Gartner Supply Chain Symposiums, rock and roll stuff for sure. You've also been in a variety of other supply chain leadership events. I know you've keynoted at an event I might ask you about a little later on. What's one of your favorite elements at events like this?
Well, the benefit here is connecting with, colleagues around the industry, around folks that are doing, like-minded work across supply chain, trying to advance it. It's really an investment in both ourselves and our industry. And really, it's an opportunity that, day in and day out, the grind gets so busy. It's important to take these pauses and make sure that we're continuing to kind of sharpen our saw to make sure that we can help build the future leaders and the future supply chains that's going to be needed in this volatile environment.
Jon, what a great, I completely agree with you. And I think events like this help leaders get out of I got a dear friend that's always called it the run, improve, grow. In fact, he wrote a book about run, improve, grow. And I think events like this, especially at the symposium, which is a gathering of really senior supply chain leaders, it helps these folks get out of the run and spend a little bit more time exploring the improve and certainly the grow. Would you tend to agree with that?
Oh, 100%. I mean, every single day that I'm here, if not multiple times in each session, I'm learning something new that I want to take back, explore with my team, and some things that we can quickly reapply to be able to bring back and help improve our results.
So I love it, Jon. Good stuff. Okay, so let's do this. I bet 3 or 4 of our global audience members out there, when they hear Kenvue, they may be a little bit slow behind. We got the sharpest audience, all the global supply chain. But I know I was kind of newer to what Kenvue is. So tell us, if you would, a little more about the organization and what you do.
Yeah. So about 2 years ago, we carved out from Johnson & Johnson, and ultimately having an opportunity to be part of a standalone company and owning our own future.
Yeah.
And so, as the largest pure play consumer goods company for healthcare and consumer healthcare, one of the things that we do is bring brands like Tylenol, Band-Aid, Neutrogena to the various different consumers all around the globe.
Yeah.
We hold some of the number one positions in many of our different categories, having an opportunity to help improve, the lives in those periods of the deepest vulnerability. And so when you think about those initial periods where you had a child who was sick and ultimately their caregiver helps provide them Tylenol to relief. You have those periods where you have a best friend, you're going through, a change and you have, acne showing up for the first time. How do you hand them Clean and Clear or Neutrogena to help treat that? And then ultimately, as we look at, the organization as a whole, how are we able to help improve the lives and the health of our consumers all around the globe?
Oh, I love that. Very missional. Very
Yeah.
missional. Going back to all those brands that you mentioned, all of those are household favorites for so many people out there. I'll tell you, whenever my dear wife Amanda allows me to cook in the kitchen, the Band-Aid stock shoots because lots of injuries. I can't cut a tomato without slicing my fingers up. But thanks, Amanda, for taking me safe out there. All right, so John, let's talk about your role. Because man, you've got a big plate. So in your role, John, you oversee the overall North America operations business plan, which includes North American supply chain excellence and transformation and many other responsibilities at Kenvue. I want to ask you, when it comes to the transformation, what are a few of your top priorities here recently?
Yeah. Well, I think the number one priority for any supply chain professional these days is managing the volatile environment that we're facing right now. Ultimately, again, how do you create the supply chains that are agile, responsive, and able to predict demand as well? That's some of the critical things that we're trying to build resiliency in our supply chain and helping to improve to make sure that we're reacting no matter what, let's say, the external environment might throw at us. Now, at the same time, being now a fully independent company, one of the key things we're trying to do is invest in both our people and our systems. As we think about what we need to help stand up a fully independent company,
Yeah.
it requires some of the best talent. And I got to say, Kenvue has some of the best leaders that I've had the privilege of working with in the past. And then ultimately, as we look at it, digitization of our supply chain, including various investments that we're making ahead of our S4 cutover, are very critical parts as part of our roadmap and are going to help us to not only grow and drive results short term, but ultimately to continue to drive those results into the future.
Oh, John, man, you make it sound so easy and organized, but I know that's only a portion of everything else that you and your team are leading when it comes to transformation. I want to pick back up on one thing you mentioned: real operational, tangible resilience. That seems to be one of the big things you are after. Is that right?
That's correct. That's completely correct. Yeah.
Yeah. We all talk about resilience, but
Yeah.
we don't all really bake it into our operations tangibly, right? And it sounds like that's one of y'all's North Stars. All right. So you have held beyond Kenvue, as I was kind of scoping out your career journey, John. You've worked at some of the biggest, most beloved brands around the globe.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you, a lot of times with companies like that, the culture is just extraordinary.
Yeah.
So when you think about the organizations, including Kenvue, you've worked at, that folks know and love, the brands folks know and love, what are some of those common themes, common bonds amongst those cultures?
Yeah, I mean, it really comes down to, having a chance to work with some of the premier CPG companies around the globe, really taught me to put the consumer first in everything that we do. And really, it came down to how do we have an opportunity to invest in supply chain capabilities and deep consumer understanding so that way we know what we're building towards. And oftentimes, it's either a consumer need or unmet need that we're ultimately playing in. I have the privilege of being able to work in an amazing company now at Kenvue that has 3 different divisions that are able to support both essential health and everyday needs, ultimately in our self-care business during those periods of greatest vulnerability, or ultimately in skin health and beauty, where ultimately we're able to drive some more of that aspirational, as well as meeting those day-to-day requirements. And so, having a chance to work at other various organizations, whether it be my experiences at P&G, Coty, or even early on at Motorola, and most recently Estee Lauder, I've had the privilege of working with some amazing professionals, and everywhere I've gone, I've been able to kind of sharpen my saw a little bit more as well
Yeah.
to help grow those capabilities to help me to take the supply chain and the industry forward.
I bet not only sharpen your saw, but add more tools to your toolkit. Is that right, John?
Exactly. I tell you what, I'm always looking at building my own capability as fast as I possibly can. I'll tell you what, the world is changing faster than I can sometimes learn and absorb everything. But that's why they always say, right, you hire people smarter than yourself. And so I've got a great team to help support and lead most of these initiatives and help to support them every single day.
Well said. And really, that's a great segue to this next question because whether as much as you value investing in your own development, you also perhaps even more value investing in the development of your people. You've developed quite a track record based on the folks we've spoken to when it comes to your management style, especially again empowering, developing, offering up opportunities for your people to take the next step in their career. Where does that passion come from, John?
It comes back to even what we were talking about earlier about folks invested in me. I've had a number of opportunities, even here at Gartner, during this week to connect with previous mentors or sponsors that have helped me throughout my career and just have an opportunity to say thank you by trying to pay it forward
Yeah.
and invest in my team as well. And that's really what it came down to is that helping an opportunity to pay it forward for people who have invested in me. It's now my responsibility to kind of expand that family tree of supply chain professionals that have started from 20 plus years ago that folks started investing in me in my career and that ultimately I can pay it forward. And my mission in life is to ultimately leave people better than I found them. And so, that kind of idea of continuous improvement. How do I have an opportunity to touch another individual, help improve their life, help invest in them, and make a real impact? So that way, you know what, I might not necessarily see what they're bearing fruit in some of their, investments in their career. But ultimately, I know that, by giving it my all and ultimately helping to get to know them in an authentic way,
Yep.
hopefully I can make a broader impact than I could do myself.
John, I love that, and it's palpable. So I got to ask you, I'm a big
Yep.
Atlanta Braves fan. Do you work on a continuous improvement, work with professional sports teams? Because my Braves could use a John.
Well, I'll tell you what, as somebody who grew up being a Detroit Lions fan, I can tell you that continuous improvement is achievable. We just need to continuously improve in the playoffs.
No, I love it. Yeah, you're probably the fifth Detroit Lion fan. I've sat down and interviewed you here this week. So we're all pulling for Detroit. That remarkable year they had a couple years ago. We'll see what you making a bold prediction for 2025.
I'll tell you what, it's just continuous improvement. If we can go ahead and get one more playoff win than we did the year before or than 2 years ago, that's what it's about.
Hey, I love that. I love that. Okay, so here's the $1 billion question, John. I really enjoyed your perspective and your passion and the exuberance you bring to the supply chain industry. So, John, how can folks connect with you and the cool things that Kenvue's up to?
Yeah, so I can be found on LinkedIn. Feel free to reach out to me. Happy to connect. Always looking to both build my network as well as to help other people out there. And if there's anything that resonated as well, I'm always happy to set up more time. I'm very big into mentorship, developing other folks, and then ultimately anything I can do to help others every single day is always a great investment of my time.
Oh, I love that, John. Jon Rodammer, Senior Vice President, Head of North America Operations with Kenvue. Folks, hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as I have. Reach out to John, follow him across social, and make sure you keep up with the cool things that Kenvue's up to. But whatever you do, stay tuned as we continue our coverage here, meeting with the movers and shakers like John at Gartner Supply Chain Symposium. You can find it all at supplychainnow.com or over on our YouTube channel. Stay tuned, folks.